You are listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe News Hour. Welcome to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a good week. Hopefully you didn't run into too much weather again. Still trying to play catch up. So in some of the news, this one I'll be talking about here in a little bit, where you see right, troopers say that a truck was 96,300 pounds over gross. But I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later in the show, so you need to stay tuned. But let's get on to the news. Border agents say that they caught a truck driver with $25 million worth of methamphetamines. Canadian border agents say they intercepted millions of dollars worth of illegal drugs from a commercial vehicle making a border crossing. This on January 13th is when they made the announcement, but it actually happened on Christmas Eve on December 24th of 2019. According to the Canadian Border Services Agency, something like the U.S. Border Patrol, quote, on December 24th, a commercial truck entered Canada through the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, Ontario, and was referred for a secondary examination, kind of like drug dogs and stuff. During that secondary examination, the officers discovered 9 containers filled with suspected methamphetamine. The CBSA arrested the driver and seized the suspected narcotics, and the military police attended and took custody of the subject as well as the evidence. The CBSA estimated the street value of the seized drugs at $25.5 million. The driver of the truck, 36-year-old Ontario resident Mohammed Ahmed, I cannot pronounce his last name, it's a long one, was charged with importation of controlled substance and possession for the purpose of trafficking. He's scheduled to appear in court February 3rd, 2020, and this incident at that time remains under investigation. And senators are asking Apple and Google to do GPS updates or their updates to their map apps to keep trucks off of restricted roads. Now at the end of I'm going to try to not digress too much on this article, and I'm going to give you a little op-ed of my thoughts on this, again being a 30-year veteran out here if you just joined my channel. The senators described that big tech companies like Apple, Google, and Waze make some changes. A group of U.S. senators have written a letter to Google, Apple, and Waze to demand that they update their GPS apps in hopes of keeping too tall trucks off of parkways. The U.S. Senators Richard Blumenthal, Chuck Schumer, and Edward J. Markey penned a letter to Google, Apple, and Waze demanding them update their non-truck specific GPS apps to include commercial vehicle routing information in order to keep truckers off of restricted routes in Connecticut, New York, and Massachusetts. From the newsletter from the office of Blumenthal, low bridges include those on the Merritt, Wilbur Cross Parkways in Connecticut, Hutchinson Parkway in New York, and Storrow Drive in Boston. They're frequently struck by oversized vehicles where drivers are using GPS apps designed for passenger vehicle drivers. While truck-specific smartphone navigation applications already exist to help truck drivers avoid restrictions like low bridges and other commercial vehicle prohibitions, they often require subscriptions for full functionality, limiting their usage. The senators say that there are more truck drivers who rely on free smartphone GPS applications like those provided by Apple and Google that don't have commercial vehicle height, weight, or hazmat information. They are more likely to end up on a restricted roadway, quote, which can cause accidents, adversely impact traffic patterns, inflict damage to roadways and overpasses, and even result in fatalities, end quote. From the article, integrating warning features into universally available navigation applications like Google Maps will make them more widely accessible, preventing further accidents. Your application already allows users to make choices about what kind of information is displayed to them One possible solution is allowing users to indicate they are driving commercial vehicles and alerting them to restriction on roadways. We strongly urge your company to develop and implement solutions for commercial vehicle drivers relying on your navigation platform. It will undoubtedly reduce accidents and traffic delays caused by commercial vehicles operated on restricted roads. We appreciate your attention to this matter and look forward to your response. End quote. It isn't clear whether Google, Apple, or Waze will comply with the lawmakers' demands. Now, my observation on this: drivers, save your money, save your Lowe's points, save your TA petrol points, and get yourself a Garmin or Rand McNally. I'm not getting paid for these endorsements. GPS. Do not follow Google Maps. Do not follow any kind of free map apps on your phone. Those are for cars only. The senators are right. I agree with them when they're saying that those apps, even though they're free, do not have overweight, overheight, low bridges, residential areas, or anything else. Those are strictly for cars. You can afford to pull out your wallet, divvy out some money, and get yourself, it's a tool. And if you're an owner operator, you can write it off on your taxes. Get yourself a GPS, Rand McNally, or a Garmin right now. Don't even get a TomTom. Those don't work either. It has to be a truck-in GPS. And get yourself a paper atlas as well. Now, the FMCSA is conducting a study due to the truck fatalities that are on the rise. They're doing a study to find out the cause of deadly semi-crashes. There again, just ask me. I'll tell you right out. Speeding, following too close, and inattentive driving. Back to the article. The FMCSA admits that fatal crashes involving large trucks have increased 5.7% over the last 3 years. The FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, has announced a major new study into the underlying cause behind fatal large truck crashes. In a request for information, a document to be published on the Federal Register January 15, 2020, announced plans to begin a groundbreaking new study into the causal factors in large truck crashes, dubbed the Large Truck Crash Causal Factors Study. The FMCSA, that's a mouthful. The FMCSA pointed to a rise in truck crash fatalities as a reason for the study. Quote, over the last 3 years, 2016 to 2018, fatal crashes involving large trucks increased 5.7%. This study will help them identify factors that are contributing to the growth in fatal large truck crashes and in both injury and property only damage only crashes. These factors will drive new initiatives to reduce crashes on our nation's roadways. New initiatives, more rules. Remember that law about turning everything down to 65 mile an hour? Remember that one? Yeah, that's kind of stagnant. Well, this might be part of that doggone deal that they come up with, to slow everybody down to 65 mile an hour. And I'll tell you what, I'll be pissed. Because you guys can't frickin' pay attention and slow the F down. You got to do 80, 90, 100 mile an hour. And I'm sorry, but this article, I'm preaching. The FMCSA, back to the article. The FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, says that they seek information on how best to design and conduct a study to identify factors contributing to all FMCSA reportable large truck crashes, tollway, injury, and fatal. The agency says that the purpose of the study is to yield information will help them and the truck safety community to identify activities and other measures likely to lead to significant reductions of the frequency, severity, and crash rate involving commercial motor vehicles. They laid out 3 specific goals of the study. 1, to evaluate crashes involving large trucks and identify emerging trends. 2, monitor crash trends and identify causes and contributing factors. And 3, develop effective safety improvement policies and programs. Also have mandate that cars are not allowed to have their phones up to their ear, that they need to have mandatory wireless hands-free in all cars. It has to be mandatorily picked up because cars are just as much to blame as trucks are. Quit picking on us truck drivers all the dang time. That's my thought on it. The announcement of the LTCCFS comes just months after worrisome new stats showed an uptick in fatal crashes involving large trucks in 2018. That also coincided with the first full year that the electronic logging devices mandate was in effect for most truck drivers. My cat just blew the horn. You heard that. In October 2019, and my co-driver, the NHTSA released a report on crash fatalities in 2018, the first full year the FMCSA required most truckers to start using ELDs to track hours of service compliance in December of 2017. The FMCSA promised that the ELD mandate would help create a safer work environment for drivers. I don't think she wants me recording tonight. I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing. While there was a 2.4 decrease in crash fatalities for all drivers, the NHTSA data showed that fatal crashes involving large trucks actually increased by 0.9%. During a similar study conducted by the FMCSA in 2001 to 2003, the FMCSA said that, quote, a primary finding of the study was that in the vast majority of crashes where the critical reason for the crash was assigned to the large truck, it was attributed to a driver-related action or inaction, meaning you didn't react far, you're inattentive, you weren't paying attention to what you were doing, on and on and on. They'll be accepting public comments, etc., etc., etc. There again, like I say in every episode, you can go to my website at juliastrucketcafe.com, go under cafe menu, go down to the show notes, and find this article. It will be episode 74, and also at the bottom in the description, there'll also be a link to these articles in the show notes. And the FMCSA has told a Nevada driver, get off the doggone road for defying an out-of-service order with alcohol. The FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and I say all that because there's a lot of my listeners that aren't a truck driver, so instead of just saying FMCSA, I stretch it out and say the whole title so that everybody knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, they have ordered a Nevada truck driver out of service after uncovering numerous safety violations. On January 3rd, Mamadou Diaby, D-I-A-B-Y, was issued a federal out-of-service order after investigators uncovered various violations related to alcohol and for violating a previous out-of-service order. Diaby is a CDL holder and a sole owner of 4, capital U, Logistics, Inc. They detailed the circumstances leading to the federal order in a press release. He was operating a tractor-trailer from Missouri to Colorado. He was observed driving erratically and subsequently stopped by Kansas Highway Patrol. He failed a sobriety test, and I'm trying to give a summary of this, recorded significantly elevated BAC, blood alcohol content. Officers later found open containers in a cooler next to his seat. So he was literally drinking and driving. Diaby was previously convicted in spring of 2018, almost 2 years ago now, of having one or more open containers in his truck cab. So he didn't learn his lesson from the first time. During the December stop by Kansas, they also discovered that the trucking company, 4U Logistics, 11 days earlier had been ordered by the FMCSA to cease and desist all operations upon receiving an unsatisfactory safety rating. Less than a week earlier, December 6th, Diaby was stopped in Ohio for a roadside safety inspection while operating for 4U Logistics, and departed from Colorado, and he got busted in Ohio for records of duty status violations. In other words, logbook violations, and for violating the FMCSA order for 4U Logistics to cease all operations. In other words, you can't drive anymore. We shut your company down, and he's still running the highways. Really. The FMCSA warns that Diaby could also face action by the U.S. Attorney's Office for equitable relief and punitive damages, in addition to civil and criminal penalties. You know, you just didn't learn the first cotton picket time. And an argument over working conditions at a trucking company ends with 2 family members died or dead in Texas. Police say that 2 men who worked together at a trucking company are dead following a murder-suicide. The shooting occurred just after 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, January 14th at JTM Transport in San Antonio. Police say that 47-year-old Jamie T. Martinez and family member Baldemar Martinez Tamez, 56, have been arguing for some time over working conditions at JTM Transport, where they both worked. They said that Martinez Tamez walked into work and shot the other Jamie T. Martinez several times at the trucking company facility. Martinez was then taken to the hospital later, where he died from his injuries. Martinez Tamez then reportedly drove away from the scene. Officers found Martinez Tamez's vehicle parked at a Family Dollar store located about 3 miles away, and he was pronounced dead at the scene with a single gunshot wound to the head. Police believe that it was self-inflicted. Investigators say that an argument between the 2 of them had been going on for weeks. Several news outlets have identified the 2 men as brothers, but police can't confirm or deny if they actually are. And a driver that was hit by a train passes away. Authorities in Tennessee say that a truck driver lost his life after a train crashed into his truck. The crash occurred on Thursday, January 16th in Soddy Daisy, which is near Chattanooga. The truck was reportedly traveling east on Daisy Dallas Road at Hickston Street when it became stuck on the tracks. Don't ever try to beat a train, people. The local news outlet reports that the unidentified truck driver was outside of his vehicle, apparently trying to free it from the railroad tracks. When the train struck the cab on the left side of the tracks and the trailer on the other side of the tracks. The truck driver died as a result of his injuries. Norfolk Southern released a statement, and they're saying, please obey, be mindful of all warning signs and signals at the crossing. Tennessee Highway Patrol Lieutenant John Harmon said the Tennessee Highway Patrol, along with all local law enforcement, first responders, want you to always, if you are crossing railroad tracks and your vehicle for an unknown reason is stopped on the tracks, immediately leave your vehicle. Don't try to get it unstuck off the tracks. This episode of Julia's Trucking Cafe is brought to you by My Patriot Supply. As truck drivers, we all know what it's like to be at a shipper's or receiver's and have to wait to be loaded for hours on end. Am I right? Especially produce coolers and paper mills. That's why you need to be prepared with extra food in your truck, especially with the bad weather coming in, like it is over here in Kansas. Up in the Dakotas and Minnesota, 90 was shut down, Interstate 94 was shut down, along with 29. What are you going to do if there's no food and a truck stop was without power? That's why you need to stay prepared with My Patriot Supply. Now, it's not what you're thinking. My Patriot Supply is delicious emergency food. They have food kits that are good up to 25 years. They come in a slimline tote that you can easily store in your food pantry or under your bunk. I can speak from experience. After living through Hurricane Katrina, we were without power for 10 days, me, my mother, and son, and I. If it weren't for the MREs that were flown into us, we wouldn't have any food. There was 4 60-foot pine trees that broke in half during that storm and crossed my driveway and landlocked me in. That's when My Patriot Supply would have come in handy. If I knew then what I know now about My Patriot Supply, I definitely have some of this food stockpiled in my pantry. Now, for a limited time, you could get a 1-week supply of food in a handy and neat-looking ammo can, like you see here, for just $39. Look at all that food you get. It's a week's worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinners, just for $39. How do you get it? Where do you go, do you ask? Well, I'll tell you. just go to my website at juliastruckercafe.com, click on the emergency food supply tab, scroll down and click on any of the images to find out more information and get yours today. They even offer gluten-free food for under $100. Winter weather is here. What would you do if the interstate was shut down, just like I was talking about? You need to get My Patriot Supply and get it today. So, the story that everybody's been waiting for, troopers say a truck weighing 96,300 pounds overweight. In Indiana, state police say that they handed out a whopping citation following a truck inspection that turned up numerous violations. This happened in Rushville, Indiana on the morning of January 16th. From the Indiana news release, a truck inspection this morning by commercial vehicle enforcement led to the discovery of a semi-tractor pulling double trailers that was 96,300 pounds overweight. The officer was driving through Rushville just before 11 a.m. when he noticed a southbound semi pulling double trailers known as, quote, a Michigan train, end quote. And he was going southbound on Main Street at Park Boulevard. From this officer's training and experience, knew that the trailer setup is often used to haul overweight loads, but with they need a special permit, and they go across northern Indiana. The trooper got the truck stopped to do an inspection and discovered the driver, Gene Mag, age 36, of Waterloo, Indiana, was driving a truck with no plate and no markings or federal tax numbers on the side of the vehicle. For any of you that are not truck drivers, the government issues everybody USDOT or MC numbers that you have to be registered with the Department of Transportation. That's how they can keep tabs on us, is through those big numbers across the side of the truck and the truck name and the state and city and state where you're from. And this truck, as you can see in the picture, didn't have any of that. Anyways, back to the article. The maximum allowable weight for a commercial vehicle in Indiana without that special permit is only 80,000 pounds, like the rest of us. As a part of this vehicle inspection, the trooper weighed the truck and its steel coil cargo, discovering a combined weight of 176,300 pounds, or 96,300 pounds over the maximum allowable weight of 80,000 pounds without the special permit. The fines for this overweight violation alone are just under $14,000. Troopers say that the truck was impounded and that Mag was cited for overweight violation and also cited for no truck registration, in addition to a warning for no federally required markings or numbers on the sides of the truck. Troopers say that the steel coils will also be impounded until they can be legally loaded onto other trucks to continue to their journey to their final destination in Madison, Indiana. Can you imagine how ticked off that customer is when he's expecting his load of coils and they got held up because the guy didn't have the proper doggone markings on his truck? Something so goofy, and he shouldn't have even been carrying that load to begin with. I don't even know how they loaded the doggone thing. But anyway, I digress. In other news, a judge indefinitely halts enforcement of labor law that threatens 70,000 truckers. And this happened out in California. So if you're new to video channel, my YouTube channel, back a month ago or so, the California tried to do this AB 5 ruling, how California state rule that says that all companies that subcontractor truck drivers work with have to be registered as employees, and a judge puts a halt to that. And California Trucking Association called the ruling a significant win for California's more than 70,000 independent owner-operators. From the article, truckers scored a significant win yesterday when a California judge halted the enforcement of a controversial labor law until further notice. This happened on January 16th. A federal judge granted an indefinite extension to a restraining order filed by the California Trucking Association against the state of California, meant to protect truckers from the enforcement of a labor law known as AB 5. This extension could last for months, if not years, as a legal battle over AB 5 is waged in court. The U.S. District Judge argued that AB 5 was at odds with federal law protecting interstate commerce. He wrote, quote, "There is a little question that the state of California has encroached on Congress's territory by eliminating motor carriers' choice to use independent contractor drivers, a choice at the very heart of interstate trucking," end quote. Under AB 5, a worker must pass their ABC test to be labeled as an independent contractor. And, they're arguing all that in court. I'm not going to go over that. You can listen to my previous episodes and videos of where I discuss that at length. Not going to bore you with those reminders again. And a new study says almost half of U.S. drivers carry a weapon in their vehicle. A road rage study. This new survey delving into road rage on U.S. highways, try to say that fast 10 times, has uncovered some disturbing statistics. Last month, insurance site The Zebra shared the results of their survey on road rage in 2019. Some of the highlights from the survey are as follows. 82% of drivers in the U.S. admit to having road rage or driving aggressively at least once in the past year. 59% of those drivers reported showing anger by honking. 45% of drivers report changing lanes without signaling. My point, using a turn signal. 42% of drivers claimed they yelled or cursed loudly at another driver. 38% said they used rude or obscene gestures against other drivers. 7% got out of their vehicle to verbally confront another driver. 6% threw objects. 6% got in a physical altercation with another driver. 5% sideswiped another vehicle. 5% bumped or rammed another vehicle on purpose. 5% forced another driver off the road. And studies on gender and traffic safety say males under the age of 19 are most likely to exhibit road rage. However, in a study to explore those who say they experience road rage more than 4 times in a week, 34% were between the ages of 18 and 34 and were female. Study also found the top 3 behaviors that triggered road rage are tailgating, distracted driving, and getting cut off. If you're a commercial driver, and you know as well as I do, you see this day in and day out. And a large truck stop company, are adding more parking spaces. Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores announced that they plan on major expansion in the year 2020, adding dozens of store locations and thousands of truck parking spaces. On January 16th, Love's announced plans to open 40 new stores nationwide in 2020. The company says that this will allow them to add about 3,000 new truck parking spots to their network this year. They didn't offer any details about where the new stores are going to be. I'm sure that's all still in the works because they have to do a lot of surveying and stuff of where the best place is to drop one. Usually it's across a Pilot or a Petro or something like that. I see a new one. I'm in Virginia recording this video, and there's a new one right up the street. In addition, 40 new Love's truck stops will also mean 40 new Love's truck care centers and Speedco locations. And a family-run business is turning to, of all things, cannabis to keep the doors open. The owner of a small trucking company is trying an unusual tactic to generate new revenue and keep workers employed. East Peoria-based Source Enterprises, third-generation family-run food distribution company, trucking company, I got an itch, that employs 23 people. Last year, a number of trucking companies have closed, as we know, and a number of circumstances, including increased regulatory burdens, insurance costs, and a freight recession, and made it tough in the trucking industry. But Source Enterprises owner Roy Source is trying a new tactic to keep his business afloat, namely a legal cannabis growing side hustle. East Peoria Zoning Board of Appeals approved their request for a permit to begin marijuana growing. The company must still acquire a state license to grow and distribute marijuana products, but they've taken a big step in moving forward with their cultivation process. He told the local news outlet, food distribution industry has changed. Competition's increased and the players are getting larger and larger. They're a small family operation, and he wants to make sure his employees have long-term jobs in that area. And a truck driver that was missing for 2 days is rescued by California Highway Patrol. They say they were able to locate and rescue a driver who was missing for days in snowy Shasta County. He was reported missing by his company around 3 p.m. While a heavy winter storm rolled through California. Police say that the weather and road conditions were so bad that they were unable to conduct a search. Around 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, then they deployed air units near the trucker's last known location and were able to locate him on Summit Lake Road. Police say that the driver was unhurt and they helped him to get a hot meal and a hotel. So kudos to them. And if you enjoy my show, and I know I'm rough, guys, I really know I am. You see the shadow coming down. I was going to explain that to you. You know, I'm here in my bunk in my truck trying to do these videos. I'm doing it off my laptop, my webcam on my laptop. I don't have any fancy equipment. I don't have any fancy lighting. I'm trying to figure out where in the world I would hook it up in here, you know. But if you enjoy my show and you would like to support me to keep the show going on the podcast and here on the YouTube channel, the links to do so are below. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm so close to getting 100 subscriptions, and I need 100 in order to make it a customized address like youtube.com/Julia's Trucking Cafe. Right now it says /gobbledygook. You know, YouTube requires that you have to have 100 subscribers, and I got 90. So I'm so close to having 100 so I can get it out there so people can find it. So please help me grow. I greatly appreciate it. And with your monthly support, you $3, $5, or $10, you'll get a free gift to my private chat area, my private Discord, where you can have everybody can join together and we can be a community again and have a chat one night a week and talk about the issues of what's going on or different questions that you have. I greatly, greatly appreciate all of you who subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for my current donators, I guess supporters, and everybody who subscribed so far. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you're new here to the cafe and you'd like to check me out, I'm on podcast. This is the video channel because not everybody likes a podcast, so I decided to convert it to video as well. You know, a lot of people are on YouTube or they're not on Facebook or something. So you always have a way to find me on YouTube. On the website, juliastruckingcafe.com. I share recipes, how to cook in your truck if you're new or looking into the trucking industry. I have a page of stupid things that drivers do, which I'm always trying to update it. I even have my own discussion forum. Go all the way down to the drop-down list on the cafe menu. So let me explain a little bit better. Go to juliastruckingcafe.com. Click on the cafe menu. You'll have a drop-down list. On the very bottom of the list, there'll be Julia's Trucking Cafe Happy Hour. And click on that, and that's the discussion board. It's all free. You don't have to pay for anything. Please subscribe to my email list. That's free too, so you can get all of the articles that I talk about here on the video or on the podcast sent directly into your inbox. I greatly appreciate it. You know, and stay tuned because next month I'm having a very big announcement where you can meet me in person. I know, yeah, right, all this kind of thing. Why do I want to meet her for, or something like that? But it would be fun. I enjoy meeting new drivers out here, and I've been out here 30 years. I met lady drivers out here that have been out here 40, 45 years already. So I enjoy meeting other drivers and talking to them about what's going on in the trucking industry. But anyway, I could go on and on and on. Thank you so much again for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching me on the video. Again, sorry for all the shading and all this kind of thing, but hey, I'm a truck driver. I'm doing this out of my truck. I'm in a different spot every single week. So thank you so much, and for keep coming back, keep subscribing, tell your friends about it and everything, and I will have new surprises coming up here in spring. And always I have new stuff going on. Oh, I know it's just. Anyway, take care. Thank you so much again, and have a safe week. And until you have been listening to Julia's Truckin' Cafe Truckin' News Hour. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Take care. Have a blessed day.